All right, good evening, everyone. Saturday, the 17th of Feb, time for another update on the snow conditions here at Revelstoke as we're going into what is normally the busiest part of any ski season, whether that's in America or in Europe or Canada. Make sure to get your comments in the live chat below. Make sure to let me know where it is you're watching from. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes here to populate, see who's watching us this evening and who is coming to Revelstoke. If you're planning to come in, make sure to put that in the comments. When are you planning to come? And are you looking forward to your visit to Revelstoke? That's the question. So I guess I'll give you guys a little bit of an overview of what's happened so far this week. And as the thumbnail has suggested, it's been wall-to-wall sunshine all week in Revelstoke. Cold temperatures from top to bottom, which has been a good thing, has allowed some snowmaking on the lower sections of the mountain, but has also meant that the snow has kept nice and firm, especially on those pisted runs. And yeah, it's weird. We don't get many consecutive sunny days here at Revelstoke, especially still what we'd technically count as quite early in the season. So for us to pretty much have, I think it's pretty much been sunny nonstop since Monday. So yeah, it's made for some lovely riding, especially on the pisted runs. There's been some really good grooming over on the Ripper Chair side in particular, and also some of the south-facing runs as the week has progressed. There was still some soft snow in the powder bowls after the 17 centimeters of fresh snow that we received last weekend. We've not had any new snow since. So yeah, for anyone who is, I guess, sort of looking for any powder snow, you can still find it in some areas probably on the North Bowl and Greeley Bowl side of things, but at this point yet that it will be relatively tracked out. And because of that constant sun, there's definitely quite a bit of morning crust in places, but it is softening up as the afternoon has been going on with that sort of sun starting to break through later in the afternoon. So yeah, it's been nice to have that consistent sun. I mean, we'd all like, I think, deep powder and lots of heavy snow, which in a normal season by now Revelstoke would have that. We know how this season has gone. By most accounts, you know, if you're not in Whistler right now or Revelstoke, possibly Kicking Horse, everywhere else is having a bit of a tough time. So we've still got that 160 centimeter base up top. The mid-mountain, it has some of the intermediate runs, especially Fellabuncha and Woolly Bully, have really improved over the last couple of days with consistent grooming. Some of those other lower ones are still pretty sketchy, and the last spike is the only real way down from the Revelation Lodge down to the bottom there. But like I say, they've been making some snow over the last couple of days. So a lot of that, I guess, the brown snow and the muddy, rocky bits that you would find has kind of gone away a little bit more now. And it's a bit more of the man-made snow at the bottom, which, you know, keeps things going. But yeah, if you're planning to come over the next couple of days and you've got yourself a set of Carver skis, again, I would probably highly recommend bringing those with you. I see there's a couple of people who are already watching, so thanks very much for joining, guys and girls. Let me know where you're watching from, and are you coming to Revelstoke? And so what everyone wants to know is the forecast for the coming week. What are the conditions looking like right now? Interestingly enough, the next couple of days has been shifting a little bit. That there is definitely a little bit of snow in the forecast in the Alpine, but just how much that is and when it has been changing quite a bit. So right now, I'll just run you through the remainder of the weekend and into tonight, same as it's been pretty much every night this week, which is clear skies, minus temperatures. I mean, right now at the Alpine, it's -4 this evening with a light wind. Little bit, it's actually been colder in the valley. So tonight, the resort at the bottom here, we're dropping down to -9, so quite chilly if you're venturing out into the town. But moving into sort of Monday, we're going to be continuing with this mixture of sunshine and clouds. So tomorrow, similar thing as well. Sorry, jumping ahead of myself. Sunday, cloudy with sunny periods. That freezing level, it's hovering around 1,300 meters. So it will be a little bit warmer at the top, which will make for some nice riding, for some soft riding. But yeah, maybe bring your UV lenses with you, as well as maybe a little bit of those see-through lenses. But so not too much in the sort of Sunday and Monday, which are my days off. But moving ahead into next week, Tuesday and Wednesday is looking like we may see a little bit of snow coming, roughly in the region of sort of 5 centimeters right now. So not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but you'll take a little top up at this point, right? So yeah, 4 centimeters potentially on Tuesday, around 1,400 meters with a southwesterly ridge wind. So that'll be blowing nicely into Separate Reality, into Greeley Bowl, into North Bowl to keep those bowls fresh. And then, yeah, potentially another 2 to 3 centimeters across Wednesday and Thursday. Beyond that, at the moment, again, we sort of reset, I think, and you'd see how that looks as we come out of the weekend. But in the short term, there's no new snow forecast for the weekend. Danny is watching from Whistler. Danny, thanks very much for joining. Watching from Whistler, I think it must have only snowed once in 30 days here. Did Whistler get a big snowfall the previous weekend as well? I know quite a few places it seemed to get some, but yeah, other than that, I've not heard of much. Also, Danny, you're are you any relation to a Joe Quinn? I used to work with a Joe Quinn in Austria in my second season. Maybe a bit of a long shot, but yeah, it's crazy how little it snowed, and now we are in the middle of February. So we were chatting. I was chatting about it with some friends today, and we were sort of discussing, what's the rest of the season going to look like? And it's all hypothetical, right? But when you're not seeing much snow, you sort of get talking about it. Nah, don't know a Joe. Okay, worth a shot. But yeah, you get talking about it. And I mean, the cold temperatures have been really helpful for us this week, just to keep the base solid and not lose any more of that. But we would love some more significant snow soon, I think actually I'd prefer to have what we had a little bit in January for about 10 days there, which was like consistent top up. So a little 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters daily, because like that accumulates over several days to sort of 30, 40 centimeters and keeps things fresh. I'd rather have that than just have like a 15 centimeter and then nothing, which is kind of what we had like last week. But who knows? Seems like Northwest America is getting hit finally with some snow. So this warming trend has kind of left them, and some of their areas getting some snow, which is welcome. Europe, I think, is forecast to get some snow coming up in this week as well, which I know they need. And East Coast Canada is getting slammed with snow, but normally what would be in BC and you'd normally get hit here, we've just not getting anything right now. Yeah. So it might be one for the backcountry skiing as we get into sort of February and March, but we'll see. Like I've been speaking with some friends who have been doing a little bit of touring in Rogers Pass, and for anyone who's interested in that side of things, I've not heard too much super positive things. Like there's a lot of feeling of crusts and seeing weird features out there. So yeah, Freedom Rider, always a regular. Good to have you back on, buddy. We had a good dump on Sunday night and Monday, about 25 centimeters. Monday, Tuesday were fantastic. Conditions are still good with bluebird skies for the last 4 days. Yeah, it's been awesome to have that here, hey? You know, like I'd take that over like wet, warm, foggy cloud, you know, and boring and like just depressing rain. Like as soon as that sun came out on Monday, like I don't know about you, my mood was like instantly uplifted and I felt quite positive and just good. Still wishing obviously we had more snow, but yeah. But it seems like Fernie, you've had a couple of falls in Fernie. So maybe Fernie is the place to kind of be right now. I mean, you guys are getting some big falls. Fernie, is that north of here then, would you say, Freedom Rider? Like in relation to, I mean, I know it's in between the west and sort of where we are, but yeah, I think you're kind of is it a bit north of here? On Highway 3 somewhere, I think. It's so funny when you Google it and you see the images of Fernie, like the downtown street looks remarkably similar to Revelstoke. Okay. Oh no, you're actually south. So you're okay. So you're closer to, well, the Kootenai National Forest and Washington State and Montana, which I think has been getting hit by some of these new storms, right? So you probably are just right on the edge of it, I imagine. So that would probably explain why you're getting those falls. But yeah, I'm a little jealous. Could you send some a bit further north for us, please? Just you know, just blow a little bit. I'm not fussed about the Okanagan resorts. You know, just send it a bit further north. But yeah, crazy how actually it's been cold. It's gone cold again. Hey, I don't know what it's been like in Fernie, but it was -11 on my car this morning down in the valley. It's just so up and down this year. It's yeah, I don't know what to make of it. It's one of those things where probably at the end of the season you'll have to sort of kind of sit back and just sort of reflect on what it is, and you don't know what could happen, right? Here in Revelstoke, typically late February and March is still really good riding, and we typically get some really good storms. So you hope that we can still get some. Danny, how are conditions? Danny, if you're still watching, what's the general assessment of conditions in Whistler right now? Because I've been watching a bit of James's channel, Rise in Alpine, and it seems like there's been some good riding up in the Alpine, but I'd imagine the base areas of the resorts are kind of similar to maybe what ours is like. Would that be fair to say? Fernie is in the southeast of BC in the Elk Valley, so storms seem to hit the valley and then the snow seems to hit even when not forecast. It's called the Fernie factor. Oh, awesome. That sounds interesting. Like I'm at a point this winter, especially like given where we are, that I've definitely been feeling a little bit burnt out the last week or so, and I'm thinking that maybe a couple of days outside of Revelstoke would do me some good. And I wonder where I should make a trip to. And I've been putting a lot of time and effort into building up my knowledge of backcountry having done the AST1, and maybe that might just involve going up into the backcountry in Revelstoke. But then part of me is thinking to chase some powder, because if it's starting to hit in some areas on the edges, then I don't know, maybe Fernie's worth a trip. I mean, I know it's a couple of hours, about 4 or 5 hours drive, I think, from Revelstoke. Go down past Kelowna, I think, and oh no, not even there. You're actually near Banff Way. How long is that from Revelstoke? Let's see. 5 hours drive if you go through Rogers Pass and all the way down Highway 93. So 5 hours there and 5 hours back. Danny said, well, it snowed on Sunday, so this week's been not too bad. This is over in Whistler, by the way. However, before that, you could see grass patches on the mountain from the village. Yeah, I mean, I saw some of those images during the warm spell, and like some of the gondola, what do you want to say, like the lift operated cabins had water pumps at the bottom, which was just quite staggering to see, to be fair. So end of January and the start of February has been pretty bad, to be honest. Yeah. But I would say, Danny, that by most places in BC, you guys in Whistler, Fernie, Kicking Horse, Revelstoke are the top ones. I've not really heard anywhere else that's sort of promoting good riding anyway. I mean, I know a lot of South Caribou. There's a couple of South Caribou ones that have shut up shop for the season, and they were meant to have the BC Winter Games, and Troll just didn't have enough snow. So there's a resort called Troll, which I'd love to see one day just for the namesake. The Vancouver resorts, your Cypress, Grouse, etc. They've basically not had anything. I don't even know if they're open. I've seen a couple of reports saying they've been closed. I don't know about the Okanagan, like Big White, Silver Star, Sun Peaks. I'm not sure what state they're at. I bumped into a couple of the guys who were on the channel last week watching the live chats. So Ainsley and the crew, and that was nice to briefly meet them in Revy last weekend. Don't know if you guys are watching this evening, but I know you were headed off to Lake Louise, and possibly, was it Sunshine or Kicking Horse? Well, I think Ainsley said earlier on, he said they had a good trip over. So yeah. It's when you're in Revelstoke, you are Revelstoke. So what you hear from other resorts is fairly limited. So Danny, so did you buy another car then? I remember your video about your first car you got. Oh yes, the the Dodge Durango. Short answer is yes. I mean, when was that? Gosh, that was that was well over a year ago now. That was not last fall. That was the previous fall. And I sort of, as part of a strategic plan of obviously wanting to be here long term, Danny, I did buy a car, but I didn't do Facebook Marketplace. So for anyone watching this thinking about moving to Canada and just wanting to know about all the car side of things, I've done a couple of videos on that. Don't go and buy a car on Facebook Marketplace. Go to one of the cities and use a recognized dealer where there's a service record, where it's passed all the tests, and you're not buying something that's going to just fall apart after a few months and cost you a ridiculous amount of money. Well, hey, the boys are here. Apparently Ainsley smells. Ainsley, hey, Ajit and Ainsley, good to see you guys. Lovely to have you guys on again. How are the conditions in Revy compared to last week? So when I left you guys, when did we meet? We briefly saw each other on Sunday night, didn't we? So yeah, over that weekend we had 17 centimeters of snow, and Monday in the bowls was really nice. It was a little foggy actually. Like if you watch the most recent vlog, it was actually kind of hard to show just how good it was, but was feeling a little rough from Sunday night, not going to lie. So it was a slow morning, slow get up. But in the afternoon, what did we do? I did a few good ones. We did Sweet Spot into the North Bowl. We did Sub Peak down onto Mania, which is one I've not done much, but I always love Mania when it's filled in. And that was good. That was fresh, soft riding. Couldn't really feel anything underneath. Where it was tracked out, you could obviously feel that the ice and the scraping, and you can hear that quite clearly on the video. But probably the highlight of the week, Ainsley, has been the groomers. And I know, obviously, that's not what Revelstoke is renowned for, but cold temps all week, 2 or 3, 4 degrees below, top to bottom on the mountain. So the groomers have been able to get out and start giving attention to all the areas. And yeah, some bit by bit, they've got better and better. And like fresh corduroy, I was up there yesterday morning, and just sunshine was stunning. You know, I've never seen Revi that clear in the winter. You don't get so many cloud days, so it felt good. Agent says, Ainsley got banged in the mountains by you, Bram. Can you confirm? I can confirmly deny that claim, but someone did have a sore head that evening. That's a load of rubbish. This chat is not going to descend into a load of chatting utter crap. But I'm glad you boys had a good time in Revi. I'm very glad you enjoyed it. Is there anyone watching who's planning to come to Revelstoke? Danny is considering it for next season. So are you based out of Whistler then? I may have asked you this before, Danny. I do apologize. But yeah, I mean, hopefully next season we have something a little bit more typical, shall we say. But if I've been in Whistler since August. And how are you finding life there, Danny? How is life in Whistler? I don't know a lot about it, to be completely honest. So, Whistler sounds pretty, sounds like a very massive place. But I mean, if you're thinking about Revelstoke for next season, Danny, are you saying like to move out this way or just to come for a ski trip? Like, what are you thinking? Happy to answer any questions that you have. Hey, look who's on. Fresh from the Midwest, it's Danny. Hey, Danny. Danny was there. Sorry, and Brad. Brad, how are you, mate? How's Brad? How's your ski tripping been? I've been watching some of the your recent vlogs. It looks like I've been having a good time. So Danny in Whistler, it's been a really good experience, even though the snow sucks. I got a job and I met some good people. That's a real good start, that is, mate. Like, yeah, I'm glad finding those people like that you can hang out with is real crucial, I think, to settling in well. And if you don't have that, it's kind of real hard to get into the flow. But I'm glad to hear that's going well, because I imagine that trying to live in Whistler must be pretty tough. How was Nicholas's skiing? I heard it's hard on the knees when you're 300 pounds. I only met them outside the bar at Chubby Funsters. Unfortunately, I did not get the chance to ski with them, so I can't comment exactly on that. Sounds like they had a good time, and they all came back in one piece, so that's the main thing. Danny, of thinking to move to Revelstoke next year for the winter season. Okay, awesome. Well, if you're thinking of winter, my advice for work and for accommodation is start applying for both early August. Yeah, that's my advice. I'm thinking as we go into the summer and maybe sort of getting towards the back end of summer is to do some of these live streams and offer to sort of, maybe talk through and answer any specific questions for anyone who's, planning to come to Revelstoke for the winter, just to give them as much information and advice for them to make decisions on moving next year. Because, as I'm sure you know, Danny, like trying to move into a ski town now is just getting so much more competitive all the time. Brad, trips have been so good, my guy. Great to hear. Midwest conditions have been all-time bad, but we've been traveling like crazy. Yeah, I saw, what was the most recent one I watched from you? Was it, it's the one you put on the Discord chat. No. The one I liked was the Beaver Creek one in Colorado. That was the one I really liked. Like that, those wide terrains really made me actually want to go to that. I need to watch the Vail one, but yeah. Yeah. I read something the other day that Vail are planning some lift expansions. I think I read that somewhere. And then wasn't there a resort purchase recently? Was it Alterra? Was it Alterra have purchased? Is it Jackson? Is it Jackson that they purchased down there? Because it was quite a big resort from what I read. No, A Basin. That was it. I think they purchased. Yeah, Arapahoe Basin was what they purchased. Danny says, "Are you planning on staying in Revelstoke even after PR?" Yes, I am. That is my long-term aim. It's tough here for sure, but the one thing working in the mountains has taught me is persevering. And I've finally been in one place long enough where I feel like I've been able to start laying some roots. And if sort of some of the other things I kind of do away from this channel and everything, and I am slowly but surely trying to build a life here. And I wouldn't want to sort of uproot and go somewhere else. Certainly that would not have been my plans. Something very drastic would have to happen for that to I'd have to meet the love of my life and who would move somewhere else or something like that. But even though they'd have to drag me kicking and screaming, just because I don't know, there's this little town. I've always been a little town guy, Danny. I'm not. I'll go into a city for a weekend and have a good night out with some friends, but yeah, it's too much stress on the wallet for one thing. Right. Beaver is sick too. Yeah, it looked like you guys had a good time in Beaver. And then A Basin. I don't know anything about A Basin, but from what I've seen on some social media comments from that weekend, it sounded like the purchase came with mixed reviews, shall we say. But I think that's pretty common now with any ski resort purchase from a big company. But I don't know what A Basin is like. It sounded like good things. If I do eventually go out to America at some point, Brad, like I'd love to do Alta. Alta, I've heard nice things about. Someone said to me on a lift, they're like, if you like Revelstoke, you'll like Alta. A Basin was a local fave. So what made A Basin so special? Like what was good about Arapahoe Basin? Right across the street from Keystone and Breckenridge. Okay, let me Google this. So yeah, another Colorado resort. Man, how many resorts does Colorado have? I'm also curious, like without trying to get too political, but you now have two big, I mean, they're American companies, right? You now have two big companies that own multiple, like serious big number of ski resorts in the global market. So I'm like, yeah, at what point do you go, okay, that's too much of the market share? But quick Google of the photos of A Basin. I don't remember a lot about Colorado, as to be honest. Ainsley and Ajit are going at it in the comments. I don't know what's going on, boys. Tear up for Revy, for Ajit, and kick him out. I mean, I've thought about making some moderators for these live chats. I think when we get more people getting involved in this regularly, those who are best behaved, I might make some moderators. Brad, so A Basin was locally owned. Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. How many base layers do I wear? I don't wear any base layers. The dope jacket I'm using is pretty thick. It kind of keeps me quite warm. And if I'm cold on the mountain, I'll take a flask of tea with me, man. That warms me up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Brad. Brad, what videos have you got coming up? For anyone who's wondering, guys, Brad has a YouTube channel called Ride Vibes. So for any snowboarders in the chat, if you're interested in a group of really fun riders, please do go check out his channel. I'm a base layer and shell jacket kind of guy. I have a big. I'll have a sort of just a regular t-shirt and then stick on there because I mean the thing I struggle with is if it's relatively cold, it's fingertips and toes for me. Like I don't know, pretty much the rest of the body is fine. Also from the Midwest and don't get really cold. So most of the time I'm shedding my base layer and only wearing a shell or a hoodie. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, what would you say are the average temps in the Midwest then, Brad? Like if it is cold, like a normal winter, what's your range? I do need to get a soft shell for touring. That's one thing I'm thinking about buying just so that I can have that, to have that extra layer to then maybe put on a little bit later. The Midwest gets cold, but I was born in the cold and don't get cold. Nice. Midwest is chilly, like 0 to 20 F. Oh, dude, I'm British. I don't deal in Fahrenheit. Let's have a look. Okay, Fahrenheit. Right, okay, if you're saying to 20 Fahrenheit in Celsius, what's that? Okay, -6 Celsius. Okay, awesome. Joe, long time no see. What ridiculous hour of the morning in the UK is it over there? How are you, mate? How's your instructor training going? 3 a.m. mate. That takes commitment. Appreciate you tuning in so bloody early. Ajit's coming to Revi next week by the sound of things. As I said, moderators, I'll look at that maybe when we get more consistency on these, one thing at a time. Hey, Brad. Yeah, good to see you boys talking. And you're doing it in Hintertux. Have you been out, though? I thought you were going out to France, weren't you? You was it Les Arcs you went to, Joe? A little earlier on? Oh, don't do that. Oh, Brad, don't do that as a question. That's tough. That's tough because it's tough because I didn't experience Japan in a regular Japao season, right? My season was good, but they only had like 8 meters that year. Whereas like with Revi, I've kind of experienced a little, that first winter was crazy. If you ask me to just say right away, I'd say Revelstoke 100%. I mean, the one area you can draw a comparison is the tree skiing, and in Japan, the tree skiing was quite narrow, whereas like a lot of it in Revelstoke in Canada is gladed. So quite easy to have good fun runs and not worry about dropping a shoulder into a tree. You don't have to worry about skiing on bamboo early season like you do in Japan. That's another thing. I mean, culturally, for if you're going for like a total cultural shock and exchange, by all means, go to Japan. Like that was one of the biggest things for me, and it was really nice to sort of get involved, experience things like the onsens and just the general, just the general layout of the towns and the food as well. Like that's a big thing. Totally very, very different. And I do want to go back. I do want to go back to Japan and try and experience a bit more of those ski resorts fully. Potentially, maybe looking at something in Japan next March, but that's very, very sort of, that's just a discussion that's ongoing right now. For riding, I mean, for me, Revelstoke, it's big mountain skiing, whereas like Niseko, where I was, it's not like a super, super tall mountain, and its runs and its bowls were very, very steep, were very mellow in Japan. So very different to Revelstoke. And yeah, I've loved it out here. Obviously, Niseko was quite westernized, so there was a lot of Australians, but I didn't feel like, I was only there for a short time, but I didn't really feel the sense of community that I do here in Revelstoke. So yeah. Joe did go to Les Arcs in January. How was it? And then I'm going to do, so you're going to do a season in November with Whistler Ski School. That's right. I remember you saying you were looking to come out to Canada in November to April. And then, so should be able to see you hopefully. Yeah, hopefully if you can get over to Revelstoke sometime there, mate. Be good to go for a bit of a ride on the hill. And should be more consistent now. Awesome. Joe, have you, I had a browse on your channel a little while ago. Have you done any filming yet? Brad, I want to go to Whistler next year too. Yeah. I suppose dollar to the American dollar to the Canadian dollar is a lot. That'll make that sort of pretty nice to go and do. Or maybe Revit. Brad, come on, man. Get yourself over here. Maybe we get you and Joe over at the same time, and then we can do it there. I'd have to squeeze it in around my work schedule, but I'd definitely be able to get a couple of full days in riding, hopefully. I haven't had the time, sadly, but definitely will next season. That's awesome, mate. Yeah. Makes sense when you start actually doing your season right and learning everything and sort of getting involved in mountain life a bit more. To be fair, I imagine if there's anywhere to do your first season, Whistler would probably be a good place to do that. Danny, if Danny's still watching, he can probably give some examples of that. And then so Brad's headed over to Vermont in a couple of weeks for some Killington. Oh, nice. Is Colorado getting much snow right now? Because I know some of the places some of the places in America are starting to get hit. But that's Rutland County, so that's not Colorado, Vermont. And what pass are you using, Brad? Are you on an Icon or Epic, or what are you doing? Joe, hoping to meet up with Brad. Awesome. Had the epic 4-day pass for the Colorado trips early this season, and then Killington is Icon, but I don't have that pass, so out of pocket on that one. Okay. Yeah, there's always a bit of a toss-up, isn't there, between Epic and Icon? Congrats on almost 2K, by the way. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, we're nearly there. One of a couple of milestones this winter. It's been awesome, actually. Been really just trying to keep churning it out. And yeah, appreciate everyone who has come on board. We just hit 750,000 views as well, which is a bit bonkers, really. So thanks everyone for that. Yeah. I'll tip my beer to everyone. Our videos are always behind the season. This season we rode Keystone, Vale, and Breck in Colorado, Holiday Valley in New York, a few locals in Michigan, and headed to Vermont for Killington and Pico. Yeah, Brad. So what's like your editing and sort of timeline there? Because I'm always like curious with the timescale from when you film and then when it comes out. I actually think yours is like what you do makes way more sense. Like I'm always quite eager to get it out within a couple of days, and it seems like, especially this winter, there's been traction because everyone's curious to know if they're thinking of coming over the next few weeks, everyone wants to know what those conditions are like right now. So it's like you film it, try and film a vlog on the Sunday on one of my 2 days off, then go out and still try and have some personal like time to enjoy the mountains on a Monday, whilst also maybe filming a secondary vlog like a tech review, a gear review, and then try and squeeze all the editing in on a Monday night, try and get the main vlog up for Tuesday, then clip it all up and get into shorts on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, maybe have a night off Friday or Saturday, and then repeat that cycle. Although, and then go live on a Friday night or a Saturday night. Agit, I'm subscribing. Bram, you are the man. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate the support. Pleasure to have you on board. 750. Let's go. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely chuffed with it. Yeah, would never have thought 750,000 views would even be possible. And I don't think it ever will feel like I can master YouTube, but I've definitely been enjoying the groove over the last couple of weeks, and in a weird way, it's been able to kind of like simplify it down, and realize that actually being in Revelstoke for consistently is, that's beneficial when it comes to making the content. Congrats on 750. Thanks very much. Appreciate it, Joe. Ainsley smells apparently, but AJ is still going to subscribe. Since we ride with a larger group, then take time to get back together to narrate it and gather footage from different group, the edits are usually a few months behind. However, that's still a nice way to do it, though, that you get everyone else's viewpoints and then you sort of settle on what you think works out of all of them. There's more like a collaborative approach, which makes sense. However, this season, we had a bunch of content from last season that we had to knock out first. Well, that's good to have like that extra footage prepped before the season even starts, because that's a challenge in itself, right? Is like jumping on the content creation before the skiing actually starts and trying to get a bit of momentum for the channel before the ski season actually launches. We don't drop edits after March. I noticed that once, when you check the analytics, things start to taper off real quick. So I don't know how things are going to go this year. Like, it's been a good winter so far on my end, but edits are, Joe is falling asleep. I'll see you a lot hopefully soon. I appreciate you boys getting up. You getting up so early, mate. 3 a.m. Good for you. Go back to bed. So a lot of this stuff this year, Brad, I'm editing, and it will launch in October and November from this season. I got you. Okay. See you, Joe. He's not putting me to sleep at all. I love hearing about Brad's content. It's a little different from what I do, but I like how he has. What he has is an awesome group of guys to go and hang out with, group and guys. So it's if I feel like I'm if I look and sound like I'm sleepy, it's because I've done a full week of working, and we're in our peak season right now. So I'm just about to go out and have a few beers, actually, with a couple of buddies to just relax from the week. Too bloody right, Brad. Too bloody right. Guys, have you got any further ski trips planned, or was that it for the season? Everybody's getting injuries. Ainsley got injured last week. Brad, you got beat up. You fractured a rib on the last one. Ouch. How did that happen? How did you fracture a rib? Going to ride through it though for one more than heal. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of injuries right now because of that low snowpack as well. You know, like lots of just very easy for people to catch an edge on some ice and land funny. Yeah, like thinking back to Ainsley, like head injuries are the worst ones, right? Like that's a big concern. So hopefully, buddy, you take it easy for the next few days. And I was messing around doing some butters in Breckenridge and landed on some ice at the bottom of the hill. Oh, ouch. Literally the last run of the bottom. Oh, mate. Right at the end of the day, after a good day of skiing as well, huh? Yeah, definitely better than having it on the first run of the day. That's like not that would be worse, I think, as well. Like at least you got your full value of the ticket for that day, huh? Last run of the day, last day of the trip. Okay, well, that's not so bad. So it didn't mess with the trip. That's important. That's important. Oh, Angelina's in. How's it going, Angelina? We got another one from the Colorado resorts. How are things over on your side? I'm at Crest Butte. Is that? Where's that? I'm going to Google this. Crested Butte in Colorado. How's the skiing there? How's it been? I just tried to search the webcams there and they were all offline apparently. Oh no, wait, hang on. How the snow any good? 5 inches of snow in the last 24 hours. Base depth of 65 inches. What's that in centimeters? Base of 165. That's kind of like pretty much where we're at Revelstoke right now. It's been great. 5 inches in the last evening. Awesome. You'll take 5 inches of snow, eh? In southern Colorado, but super gnarly. How so? What, like just like steep terrain or powder snow? What's the feel of the town like? I just Googled a picture of the town and like it's again, it's like that sort of that small little mountain community town vibe with all the different small shops and colors, and mountain looks pretty good in terms of on the terrain map. Yeah, very extreme skiing. Haven't gone beyond a single black yet, which I think in European terms would technically be a red, but it looks like it's got quite a lot of infrastructure though. Yeah, there's a bunch of double diamond blacks off that far side there, but seems like there's plenty of good stuff for the beginners and intermediates on the main section. Would that be right? Crested looks sick. Hard to get to though. It's nowhere near Denver. I just Googled how many ski resorts there are in Colorado, and apparently there's 39. That's a lot in one province. I'm glad it's going well though, Angelina. I need to check out some of your videos soon. It's more like 26. Oh, okay. I just largest resort is Snowmass, highest resort is Breckenridge, and best value for money, according to skiresort.info, is Wolf Creek. Would that be fair to say? We usually ride Breck, Keystone, Vale, or Beaver because you can fly in and get to it within a few hours. Yeah, you don't want to... you don't want to have a big track after flying in. I've been slacking on the videos. Okay, that's fine. I think any content creator deserves a break once in a while, Angelina. I've thought about it myself, taking a break recently. I've thought about it. That's totally fair. Crested is 4 hours away, but I want to get out there at some point. Never been to Wolf Creek, so hard to say. Yeah, that'll be fun to check out sometime. It's good to have you on there, Angelina, and Brad, and everyone who's joined this evening. I am going to wrap it up here, though, guys, because I've got going to go off to the pub. Got to have some dinner beforehand. But appreciate everyone who's been joining. Take the summer off. That's what we do. I'd love to, except I work. It's full time what I do. While everything's sort of still impromptu, right in limbo right now with immigration, it's kind of hard to make big trip plans. I am thirsty. I'm thirsty for a very, very large beer and some food. I've pretty much just come straight off from work and then got this set up. So always good to chat to you guys, especially the other content creators and the people who I saw in Revelstoke the other week. Everybody keep doing the snow dance. If the people down in the US could send us a bit of snow up here, that would be awesome. Appreciate it, guys. And for anyone who is watching after the live has finished, you can stick your comments in the regular section there, and I will get back to them at another point. You too, Angelina. Have a good evening. See you, Brad. See you, everyone. All the best. Thanks very much.